What are parent pages and how do we use them? So, a parent page is a page that allows us to template out a design across multiple pages in Adobe InDesign. And this isn't something that's unique to Adobe InDesign. Applications like Keynote and PowerPoint also have parent pages or something like them. So, how do we use a parent page? First of all, we want to navigate to our parent page. Now, if you don't have the Pages panel open, you can go Window and then find Pages. To get to your parent page, you can just double click on it, and down here it will say A Parent. If you double click on page 1, down here it will say page 1, so this is a very useful indicator of where you are within your document. You can also click on this arrow and just navigate to the page you want to be on. When you create an Adobe InDesign document, you'll always start with the same layout, provided you haven't changed much in the settings. So over here we have none. This allows us to make sure that there is no parent page applied to a page if that's what you want. Then we have a parent, and this one will be default applied to your page 1. And you can tell because there's a little A down here. If we hover over that, it'll also say a parent applied. But we've got a parent already applied to our page. So how do we do it if we have multiple pages? Well, to do that, we can either right-click on our page and find Apply Parent to Pages, and you can choose from here, or you can even just drag and drop your page onto there. So if I wanted no parent page applied to this, we could take none and drag that there, and then that A disappears. We can drag the A parent on there, and then that appears. I'm on my A parent now, and I'm going to apply a square to my parent page so we can see how it works a bit. So I'll just drag to make that. And then if we double click on page 1, we can see that's there. And we can't move this object at all because it is applied to our parent page. If we wanted to draw a square on page 1, and I'm just going to fill this with color to make this a bit easier to see, it's on top of our square from our parent page. So how do we fix that? Well, parent pages and everything else in InDesign share layers. So if we go to our layers panel, which I've got over here, but you can go Window and then find Layers, you can see that we have one layer. And because I'm on page 1, the only thing on here is this rectangle. And if I was to go to my A parent, the only thing here is this rectangle. I can select this by clicking this little square over here, and it will select this one. So we know that it's talking about the object that is on our parent page. If I was to create another layer, layer 2, I can drag this item up to layer 2, and now it will be above anything that is on layer 1, even if it's on a different page. So if I go back to page 1, we can now see that the item from our parent page is above the item on our page. And if I click on that layers panel again, layer 2 is empty because on this page we have nothing in layer 2, and layer 1 is holding our rectangle. How do we add multiple parent pages? So I'm just going to double click on my A parent, that brings us over here, and then down here we have create new page, and that will create a new parent page. If I was clicked on page 1 and I click that create new page, that just creates a new page there. So this one is called B parent, but what if we wanted to rename that? We can right click it and then find parent options for B parent. We can change the prefix, and we can change the name, and we can change the parent that it's based on. Now this is because we can have parent pages that are based on other parent pages. Now in our pages panel, we cannot have multiple parent pages applied to one page, but we can base our parent pages on other pages. So we have the rectangle on A parent, we have the rectangle on B parent, and I'm just going to draw a new one on B parent, and then I'm going to click and drag and apply that to this page. Now we can't see that because this rectangle is on layer 1, so let's move that to layer 2. And there we are, we can see, and the prefix for this one is B, And then the prefix for A over here, just on the page, is A. That tells us that A parent is applied to B parent. So we can't click and drag on these items because they're on our parent pages, but we can release them from our parent pages if we want to. We can do this a couple of ways. The first way is by holding Command, Shift, and then clicking on the object. Or if you're on Windows, holding Control, Shift, and then clicking on the object. What that has done is that has now released that from the parent page, and we can move it around as we see fit. And we can still make edits to this object. So if I go to my A parent and I want to make a fill on this, that is now applied to the page, but the override still applies there. We can also override an item by right-clicking on our page and then going override all parent page items. So this one will do every single item on your parent page. So if I click on that, it'll just do that one item because there's only one parent item on that page. But if I was to do it to this one, that will also release the square for me. This can be a very helpful way to make minute edits to items that are on your parent page without disturbing the rest of your pages. Now, when we right-click a page and we select Override All Parent Page Items, this can be really frustrating, especially if you're trying to release only a certain amount of parent items on a large amount of pages. So what we can do is we can protect items on a parent page from being overridden. We can do that by navigating to our parent page, selecting our item, right-clicking it, and then we can deselect Allow Parent Item Overrides. Now what that does is it means that when we right-click our pages and select Override All Parent Items, or if we Command-Shift-Click or Control-Shift-Click if you're on Windows, an item, it won't override. So deselecting this prevents you from making all those sweeping changes to items that you don't want. Now, a question I see quite often is how can I rearrange my parent pages? And this is surprisingly difficult to do. Now, sometimes you can just drag and that will rearrange them. But as you can see, nothing is happening. There it did happen. So the trick I like to do is right click our panel and go panel options, find parents and make them either extra large or jumbo. And having them bigger can help rearrange them a bit better. But you can see even there, I still have some issues. So panel options, make those jumbo. And I'm also just going to make my panel a bit wider so I can see a bit better what I'm doing. And you can, I don't know if you can hear that, my computer's making an unhappy sound. But it's quite difficult to rearrange your parent pages. I find that it takes quite a lot of luck. And there you are. So it can be a bit of a struggle, but it is possible. When I first started using InDesign, I found it so difficult to rearrange parent pages. I just thought it was impossible. So I like that trick of changing the panel options to jumbo and then rearranging them, but it is tricky. So let me put all of that back. And that is how we use parent pages in Adobe InDesign. If you liked that video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon.